Hello and welcome to Blank Plate, a podcast for Swifties with an appetite.
I'm Sara, and I used to be a little kid with glasses and a twin-size bed.
I'm Laura, and I'm a mess, but I'm the mess that you wanted.
And we've got a blank plate, baby, and we'll write your name.
Welcome back, everybody.
I'm in the hotel podcast studio.
Studio Harrisburg.
Studio Harrisburg. How are you doing, though? We had to reschedule because Laura was sick.
I got the nastiest 24-hour bug. Thank God it was not anything more than that.
Yeah.
I was texting Sara the day of our original recording date, and I was like, I have chills and body aches, and I feel like I'm going to be okay, but I just want to let you know.
Right.
And then by the end of the day, you were like, how are you feeling? And I was just like, not great. I was buried under like 4 covers and like just sweating a fever out at the time that we were supposed to record. I also was so out of it. Like mentally, I was gone. So
yeah. And we need our brains for this episode.
Yeah, you're so right. This is not an episode we can squeak out. This is a lot.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about So Long London today.
Right.
Like track 5.
Yeah, track 5.
So
well, it worked
serious.
out that you were sick and had to cancel because it meant I was able to go to my parents' house and see my nephew, who I'm obsessed with right now. So
yes, auntie life.
It's a win-win. Yeah.
It's the best.
He's so cute. I was not like expecting to be this obsessed with him. Mm-hmm. But you know how they say like once you become a mom, like the maternal instinct kicks in.
Yeah.
Like it just happens. Well, I feel like that happened for me with like the aunt instincts where as soon as he was born, I was like, let me hold him. I need to see him. He's adorable.
I'm going
taking
to
a million videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's so cute.
He is so cute.
Yeah, it worked out. We just rescheduled a couple days later and we're here now. So
yeah, you got your auntie time and I feel a lot better. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
And next time we're together to record, I'm going to be in Japan. So who knows if it'll be even a video podcast, depending on Wi-Fi. And I may be in a hotel that looks like a shoebox. So who knows?
Well, power of technology. Hopefully we'll figure it out.
Yeah. But yeah, like we mentioned, we're doing So Long London today. But before we get into all of that, we already talked about what's on our plates. Let's get into some Taylor news / updates. Mm-hmm. So she's been crushing it with these surprise song mashups.
Yeah.
The Prophecy and Long Story Short, like.
I love how she did this. So the way she ended it was, so she's doing the part of the prophecy where she says, who do I have to speak to about if they can redo the prophecy? And then she switches to long story short and she says, long story short, it was the wrong guy. Long story short, I survived. So she's like telling herself, don't worry about it, babe. Like, there's no prophecy to say that you'll never find love or never find your soulmate. It was just the wrong guy. And you survived, and now you're moving on, and love awaits, you know?
And she sort of had the same conversation with herself with the mashup that she did with 15 and You're on Your Own Kid, because she's talking about how, oh, you'll do greater things than date the boy on the football team. And then she's like, you're on your own, kid. Like, you're going to make it through all these horrible things that you think is like the most pinnacle and then the most awful times of your life. And I just like love that. And also, of course, she is dating like not the guy on the football team, like the guy on the football team. So
yeah, well, and I loved how much she laughed with the crowd and smiled when she sang that part, because of course the crowd cheered when she sang that line, and like she knows what she's doing. Also, that is one of her Travis mashups because it's the one about dating the boy on the football team. But then it's also the friendship bracelet one, which is how she ended up with the guy on the football team.
Yeah.
And also apparently, because she did that mashup before in Singapore, And it was 87 days since she had done it the last time.
Okay. And if nobody knows, 87 is Travis Kelce's jersey number. So that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, so we should figure out what 87 days is from this time that she played it and like mark the calendar to see if she's going to do that mashup again.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, one of her most recent mashups the other day was Haunted in Exile.
Yeah.
Which she has done at least once before, a mashup of those two songs, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was odd because right before she sang it, she talked about how she loves this part of the show because it's different every time. And no one ever hears this stuff except the people there at that show. And then she did a mashup she's already done.
Let me double check that. Sydney night 3 and Edinburgh night 3. Huh. And then another thing that happened in Edinburgh night 3 was that she did It's Nice to Have a Friend and Dorothea, which this is like making the Gaylors go crazy because obviously Dorothea is like just a little hair away from being Dorothy. And if you haven't heard the term a friend of Dorothy, that's an old-fashioned way that people would ask if you're gay or not.
Right.
And that has the Gaylors all in a tizzy, which is very interesting.
Well, and Dorothea is like kind of a gay song anyway.
Yeah.
Because if you read it as Taylor singing it as a woman, she's singing about another woman. But yeah, so the Gaylors already love Dorothea. And then she mashed it up with It's Nice to Have a Friend.
Yeah.
And she literally sang It's Nice to have Dorothea.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, that's very gay.
Yeah, that is the most Gaylor thing I think she's done recently. I mean,
the Gaylors can have that one.
They can have that one. And honestly, like, I identify as, I'm not a Hetler by any means.
No.
I think that in my mind, like, has Taylor dated a woman? Potentially, yes. And like, I think there was a time I really did believe that her and Carly might have been in a relationship. But I feel like before this moment with Dorothea and It's Nice to Have a Friend, I was getting fed so many videos about Gaylor's explaining like how she's going to come out of the closet and she's going to break up with Travis and all this stuff. And I just feel like I lost the plot with like what's going on in Gaylor world. Like, I don't know what's happening. So if anyone is a Gaylor right now and could call in and just like catch us up, because I feel like that was my algorithm for a long time, basically before she started dating Travis. Right. And now I feel like I'm so lost on what these theories are.
I think they've jumped the shark a bit.
Yeah, it's a little confusing because like, I feel like there's so many things that they're reading into that I'm like, or you could see it like this. Like they're talking about the orange and the pink of it all. And I'm like, okay, they're saying that's the lesbian flag. And I'm like, okay, but it's also potentially a clue for Karma, the Lost Album. Like, there's other explanations. But if there's something going on that I don't understand, Gaylors, please chime in. Like, I feel like I'm lost. And it's sounding a little cuckoo bananas because I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the type of Gaylor that I still think there's potential for Taylor to come out as queer of some fashion, as bi or whatever. But I don't think her relationship with Travis is fake.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to break up.
Yeah, I don't like that narrative that it's a fake relationship.
Yeah,
I think that's
like that
a little
also
weird.
Also, I feel like that's like bi erasure because Taylor can be a bisexual woman and also be in love with a man. To me, I feel like I'm not someone who's going to be like, no,
no, she and Travis are the perfect relationship. I'm going to stand by it. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not that by any means, but I also feel like, okay, let this woman be happy by sharing her relationship with us and not overthink it. Like, can we just like let her have this? I feel like it's a little weird to think that it's a fake relationship when all she is doing is sharing her happiness. So I don't know. It's Gaylor's, please catch me up because I feel like I've lost the plot. So help me out.
I do think in a wild Gaylor world, there is a potential for Taylor to come out. This being Pride Month. And she's a very like vocal ally. And I could also see Travis being the kind of boyfriend for her that is like, yeah, babe, come out. Like, what? Like I don't think he would care at all.
No,
like he would be able to handle whatever kind of media frenzy that could cause.
I agree. I think this time last year, I think we were kind of wondering if she would because
she was single.
Yeah. And, you know, there were lots of, you know, hairpin drop clues. So anyway, Gaylor's, our number is 717-382-8313. So call and leave us a voicemail and fill us in on what's going on because you girls are lost, please. So on to our song today, which is So Long London, track 5 of TTPD. And of course, produced with Aaron Dessner. And I think that this is the first song that I think maybe My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys might be a Joe song, but I think that this might be the first like real confirmation of Joe songs on the album. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, like even though a lot of Tortured Poet seems to be about Maddie and her situationship drama with him, I do think it makes sense that her track 5, which is, you know, for those who don't understand, her track 5, they're always the most, like, I think personal and hard-hitting, like real deep, vulnerable song of the album.
She always places the song that is very close to her heart or her experience in track 5. So when she writes songs, it's not like she's like, oh, I have to write my track 5, but it's whatever song feels like a confessional or or something that's very, very close and personal to her. So so this is where we got All Too Well. Like, what are some other track 5s?
Delicate, Tolerate It, My Tears Ricochet.
So you know you're gonna get absolutely demolished by track 5s is what it comes down to. So
and I think that this track 5 being about Joe, and then also How Did It End being the track 5 of the second half, also being about Joe. I just think it shows like how the like pain and grief that she probably feels about that relationship is a much deeper, like complicated feeling than all the Maddie stuff.
It's a little heavier than the rest. It's you can sense that she's processed a lot of feelings in this song. And let's get into our personal associations, and then we're going to go like line by line through the song to unpack. So what's your personal association with this song?
So this one always hits me kind of hard, and I think it's partially a Pavlovian response because when you and I did our initial listen to the album, it was the first song that brought me to tears. And I mean, we'll also get into the like music theory of this song and what this song represents, just like sonically. But there is something about this song that hits me pretty hard every time because I can't help but think about her history with Joe and like what we've witnessed with her music over the last several years that she had been with him, and how much she wrote about him and how that felt. So it just makes me really feel for her and the end of that relationship that she's had to mourn.
Mm-hmm.
And also, she did place this song in the acceptance playlist.
Yeah.
Which, when we were listening, I did clock that. I was like, this is an acceptance song.
Yeah. That's why I feel like this shows that she has processed, at least partially, what the breakup means and what happened.
Yeah.
Because when you're going through grief, you can't accept things until you've actually like truly taken the time to go through the other stages of grief and heartbreak.
Yeah.
So my personal associations, I definitely don't have the strong reaction that you do for this song. My track 5 of this album is definitely How Did It End? But I do think that this song shows that this woman continually just knows how to make us like feel pain when we listen to music, because I feel her pain through this song. And it's a song that had to happen on this album. We all knew that the relationship ended, but we really didn't hear any of her like final thoughts on it, besides maybe "You're Losing Me" at this point. And I mean, we were guessing maybe that Midnights could be a breakup album of sorts, but it sort of was wishy-washy. But this was a song that gave us closure on their relationship, I feel like. And that's ironic because she does have another song called Closure, but that she says that she doesn't need her closure. We needed this closure, okay? We need this closure. You gave us London Boy, and now the closing of this chapter is So Long London.
Right.
And that's a gift that Taylor has given us. So I also think that when we saw the track So Long London, I didn't know if it was going to be like a diss track, like let's rip him apart, like let's rip apart what this relationship was, like the anti-London Boy song. But this really, honestly, I think although it is painful, I don't think that she demolished his spirit or diminished the relationship. I think she's told some painful truths, but I don't think that she like undercut or undersold what that relationship was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I also think that, like what she's told us in this song and other songs about Joe and their relationship, I mean, some of it sucks, right? Like, tolerate it.
Right.
And some of the stuff in here too, but I don't think anything about the way the relationship ended is out of the norm.
No.
You know, like, it's not like anything dramatic happened. It really, and she talks about this in How Did It End? Like, how did it end? I don't really know, because I think it was such a gradual, natural end that happened, which happens to people all the time. So it's not like he did some terrible thing that we have to hate him for. Right. I think they just were struggling as a couple and had to call it.
Yeah.
You know?
I also got the sense that like there's some confessions of like falling out of love. But like it's done in such a tasteful way that it's, I don't know. I think she gave us a lot without exposing all the tea, which I think is a respectful way of kind of ending this, you know, London Boy moment. So,
yeah.
All right. So let's get into the folklore of this song. We're going to go verse by verse, starting with the intro. So here that is. Okay.
Also, I did hear someone, I think it was on every single album, they were saying that this song is like Aaron Dessner pretending to be Jack Antonoff.
I love that. I love that. Because that weird synth sounds like Midnights. Like, that sounds like Jack messing around in the studio with like some weird new synth sound that he likes. Yeah. But yeah, it's a Aaron song. So yeah, that's amazing.
Oh God. But yeah, so to me this sounds like church bells. Like you're walking through London, and does Big Ben have bells? Probably does, right?
He has a chime.
Oh wait,
and actually,
Big Ben is a clock.
Big Ben is also like it's actually the name of the bell in the
really?
tower. Yeah. So, but people don't know that. So yeah.
Okay.
But he's a bell.
Yes.
But you know what does have a lot of like these church chimes is Westminster, which is another very, London based thing.
Yeah. But yeah, it definitely sounds like church bells, which makes me wonder, like, is it supposed to sound like a wedding? Like church bells after a wedding?
Yeah.
I also saw somewhere someone said that it sounds like wedding church bells, but then it just gets like cut off and disappears, which is
symbolic.
Yeah.
I saw an amazing video. I shared it with you, and I will link it in the show notes with a classically trained conductor, I think he was, and he was explaining how this sounds like counterpoint, which not to get like into the music theory of it all, but basically it's when a melody sort of like starts and then it sort of cascades off of that, and it's sort of like, writing a melody with another melody that sort of like plays on top of it. And then there's all these, I'm doing a horrible job at explaining what counterpoint is, but for all the music theory nerds, like listen to it and you're going to hear a lot of like Baroque sort of counterpoint moments. So I think that's really cool. But you had said that this is reminiscent of Death by a Thousand Cuts.
Yeah, it reminds me of the opening of that.
Let's listen to that real quick.
Because that also sounds like church bells.
Yeah. She's saying my, and then this one she's saying so long, London. Yeah.
Similar
Definitely
idea.
Similar ideas, kind of like a chorus, a cappella, layered introduction.
Yeah.
Okay, then we get into the first verse, and here that is.
I saw in my mind fairy lights through the mist. I kept calm and carried the weight of the rift. Pulled him in tighter each time he was drifting away.
We're in pause there.
Yeah. I think she sounds so much like Lana Del Rey when she starts singing there.
I never noticed that. Now I'm going to have to re-listen to it.
Yeah, like I don't even listen to Lana that much, but that's what it sounds like to me. Like it's kind of a different vocal production for Taylor.
Yeah. See, like when she describes, I saw in my mind fairy lights through the mist. There's a couple of really famous Turner paintings. Now Turner is a British painter who famously would paint the Thames, but like sort of like morning with like there's these misty little like lights that are coming from the ships on the Thames, and like that's so London to me. So like visually I see that. It's like this dreamy morning of London.
Yeah.
And like I love that image because it's kind of like in her mind she saw in the mist, like in the thick of like the like trying to figure this out, she still has hope. She still sees like that fairy lights, that it's magic. There's magic there. It's just misty right now. Like,
which I hadn't really like unpacked that line much until I was going through our notes. But yeah, it makes me think that she's describing how she could still see these little glimmers of how they used to shine together. But she had to look through all this like murkiness of what was going on. And so then she says, I kept calm and carried the weight of the rift, pulled him in tighter each time he was drifting away. So it was like, this right here is the only like couplet that we get where she describes herself actually trying. And then the rest of the song is about how that broke her and she had to stop.
Right. Like she's the one who is carrying the weight of the relationship,
Mm-hmm.
attempting to keep him close and hold him tight,
Mm-hmm.
which is very similar to peace. Like,
yeah.
So here's the drifting away like image reminds me of this.
If you brittle heart warm, if you cascade ocean wave blues come.
Like someone who's lost at sea, like the ocean waves of blue get him like cast out to sea, and she's the one who's like pulling him tighter every time that he's drifting away into his own sadness.
Yeah.
So yeah, that opening little couplet is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy moly.
Yeah. So then we go into the next part of the verse.
Yes. So here that is.
My spine split from carrying us up the hill. Wet through my clothes, weary bones caught the chill. I stopped trying to make him laugh, stopped trying to drill the safe.
Like, these lyrics hit me really hard when we first listened. Like, I think this is where it hit me how this song is about to break us. Like, we are really, like, she's about to just tell us that she had been trying so hard and she was done.
Yeah.
And how much it was hurting her. And again, we're going to reference You're Losing Me a ton in this episode. It's like we got that part of the story. And then this song is like the finale / like epilogue of like, here's what happened.
Yeah.
You know, he lost me.
Yeah. Like I was wet through my clothes and I was like dying. I caught the chill. Like I was wearing myself so thin and wearing myself out so much by this relationship, trying to make it work.
Yeah.
I stopped trying to drill the safe. Like I had to.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
That's some serious hard hitting lyrics, because if he was a locked vault, which is what is implied by stop drilling the safe, is like he's shut tight. He's like a vault.
Yeah.
I mean, the next verse is, how much sad did you think I had? Which is like, how much of this sadness do you think I can handle?
Yeah.
Like, if you are a completely locked vault, you're not letting me in. How am I supposed to help? Oh my God, so sad. All right, let me play that line since I already spoiled that.
Sad did you think I had? Did you think I had in me? Oh, the tragedy. So long, London. You find someone.
Yeah, it's like we need to take a moment after each of these lines, but
Pre-K pause.
oh God. So, how much sad did you think I had in me? She says. And she had mentioned how she and Joe loved to listen to and write sad songs when she was on Zane Lowe's podcast. She said, Joe and I really love sad songs. We've always bonded over music. We write the saddest songs. We just really love sad songs. What can I say?
Oh, girl.
Which reminds us of the clip from You're Losing Me.
Yes. So let me pull that up.
How long could we be a sad song till we were too far gone to bring back to life again?
Ugh.
Oh, that song sounds so upbeat right now.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
When she said that in You're Losing Me, I remember listening to that and be like, oh my God. She knows what we're talking about. Like, because all of us were thinking like, dude, if Joe and Taylor are writing the most heartbreaking songs in the entire world, you're telling me they're in a happy relationship?
Right.
That was everybody's thought. And then she was basically like, Yeah, like how long can we be sad and write sad songs before we're dead and you can't bring us back to life?
God.
Like, yikes.
Seriously.
Yikes.
But then I also like how she says, "So long, London, you'll find someone."
Yeah.
To me, this shows like a bit of love that she still carries for this person and an acceptance that it just wasn't right and being like, you'll find someone who's right for you. And then later she says, "I'll find someone."
Yeah.
Again, this being an acceptance song.
Right. Like saying you'll find someone to the person that you're no longer in a relationship is like a reassurance that like, even though this didn't work out, like I know that something better will be working for you around the corner.
It's
like
also an acceptance that you guys made the right choice.
Right.
That like, yeah, we shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
This isn't the right thing for us.
Yeah. And verse 2, I'm going to play this and we're going to have to talk about this.
Okay.
I didn't opt in to be your odd man out. I found at the club she's heard great things about. I left all I knew, you left me at the house by the Heath.
Okay. I didn't opt in to be your odd man out. Another, he's a locked vault. I'm not included in your life.
Yeah.
Which is painstakingly painful because in New Year's Day, which we can assume is about Joe, because it's from Reputation, early days of their dating, please don't ever become a stranger whose laugh I could recognize anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, basically, I never want to be a stranger in your life. I always want to be this, lover.
Yeah.
Can we always be this close? And now you're the odd man out.
Yeah. Yeah. And saying, "I didn't opt in to be your odd man out." Just being like, I'm here in a relationship with you. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for it to feel this way.
Yeah, which makes me wonder, do you think Joe was happy around other people, but just saved all of his miserableness for her? Because, do you know, like, high-functioning depression, like, oftentimes you can mask how you feel temporarily, but then when you're actually comfortable with the person that you're with, that's when your real depression seeps out. Like,
right.
I don't know. Like, part of me is like, that's really sad because maybe she feels like the odd man out because he's showing the happy, charismatic, charming side to himself to everyone else but her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Woo.
That would be exhausting.
Yeah. Also, low-key, the biggest diss, I founded the club she's heard great things about. I made you.
Yeah.
I made you.
Right.
Which is true because think about it. None of us cared about Joe 1 ounce until she wrote all these love songs about him, romanticized the hell out of who he was to everyone who would listen, and would constantly just shout his name from the rooftops about how incredible he is. None of us cared about this man.
Right.
You founded that club, Taylor. You're right.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah, I think it could also be read as like, whoever the next person is, like, I'm still going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah, no matter how far away he gets from this relationship, whoever is going to walk into his life in a relationship is going to know that his ex-girlfriend is Taylor Swift. Like, come on.
Right. Ooh, yikes. Taylor.
Yikes.
Yikes. And then we have, I left all I knew, you left me at the house by the Heath.
Which, if you don't know what the Heath is, for anyone who's listening, the Heath is north of London. It's sort of like this bougie upper class area, very, very nice mansions, historic homes. And the Heath also is like, there's like huge ponds where people would swim, and it's very like Pride and Prejudice-y. It's gorgeous, like manners, and Hampstead Heath is like this downtown area that's very cute and quaint. It's very like cottagecore looking, and they had bought a home, or they were renting a home in Hampstead Heath, her and Joe, an $8.7 million house overlooking Hampstead Heath. And I'm going to link this Architectural Digest article about it.
Okay.
But I wonder if this is the house that's mentioned, we loved it because of the light from You're Losing Me. Remember looking at this room, we loved it because of the light. Like, imagine the two of you are going to rent this house in London, like your little abode in London together, and you are making your decision. Is it this house? Is it this house? Mm-hmm. Oh, there's the light in that house. You can't beat that light, blah, blah, blah. And now you left me at the house by the Heath.
But wait, did they buy it together or did Taylor buy it?
This said that they rented it.
Oh, they rented it.
Yeah, so I can't fact check that right now, but like,
okay,
yeah,
okay, that makes sense.
But it's an $8.7 million estimated house. Like, I mean, she could buy it.
She could buy that with like her coffee money.
Yeah.
But
wait, can I give a really big tangent? Okay,
what?
Somebody told me. Now, I can't verify this, and I honestly don't really believe it, but someone had told me that Taylor owns a house in Lancaster that she sort of lets sit, but it's where her family stays when she comes to Rock Lidditz. That she goes to Rock Lidditz is like, if anyone's not from this area, it's like this, basically like people go to Rock Lidditz to rehearse for their tour. It's where they like make like all of the set designs.
Like soundstage, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, that you can record your tracks there. You rehearse there. They make all the things there. They troubleshoot there. People stay there, but it's in Lidditz, which is right next to Lancaster. But someone had said that she owns a house in Lancaster in this gated community outside of Lancaster City, where some of my students live. And they said that she owns a house there. And I'm like, I don't believe that.
But why would I not have known that? Why wouldn't her family just stay at like a hotel or wherever she's at?
I don't know. That's why I don't believe it. I'm like, I'm the biggest Swiftie here. You're telling me I didn't know that? No way.
Didn't Lady Gaga buy a house in Lancaster at one point?
She did. Her and her ex-fiance bought a house south of Lancaster, where he's from. But that makes sense. His family's from there. Yeah. Like, I know, like, Berks County is, like, not that far away from... I don't know. I just don't believe it. Anyway, that's a huge tangent, but...
But anyway, so her saying, I left all I knew, you left me at the house by the Heath. That alone is, like, because Taylor leaving America to come be in the UK with him. Mm-hmm. And now she's just left at this house that they had together. And as she describes it, a foreign country.
Dude.
Oh.
Also, like, she had diary entries where she was talking about how they had secretly been dating for 3 months or something like that. And that she essentially is living in a foreign country. And like, and that was during her time of hiding away from the world.
Right.
But she left everything that she knew. She left behind her community. He left her family, everything.
Right.
And he left her at the house by the Heath.
Rough.
Real rough. All right. Here's the next couplet of verse 2.
I stopped CPR after all, it's no use. The spirit was gone, we would never come to. And I'm pissed off you let me give you all that youth for free.
Ouch.
Excuse me?
Ouch.
Help. Help.
That one hurt.
I mean, we've talked about this a lot because we talked about it in our episode for I Can Do It with a Broken Heart.
Yeah.
With all the CPR references.
Yeah. Which, if you have not heard that, go back and listen to.
It's a good episode.
Yeah, it's a good episode. But lots of CPR and heartbeat references are mentioned. So,
Also, I'm sorry if you guys can hear my chair squeaking in this hotel room. It's like if I make the slightest movement, it makes a noise.
I haven't heard it, so okay. I think you're okay.
So I apologize to any listener who might hear it and be annoyed by it, because that would be me if I was listening. So just saying, I hear it.
Yeah. Hopefully I can edit it out.
Yeah, we'll see.
So, yeah. But yeah, lots of CPR/heartbeat references. I mean, obviously the clearest one is in You're Losing Me. She literally uses a heartbeat through the song.
Right.
And there's this line.
You're losing me. Stop, stop, stop. You're losing me. Stop, stop, stop. You're losing me. I can't find a pulse. My heart won't start anymore.
Yeah. She stops CPR. After all,
it's no use.
Can't find a pulse.
Well, so this also reminds me of the whole bridge of How Did It End, which I also believe How Did It End is a sister song to So Long London.
Definitely.
And You're Losing Me. Like, these are all telling the same story. But, I mean, we got to just listen to this whole bridge, which is just devastating.
Yeah.
But this makes me think of that line.
Okay.
Say it once again with feeling, how the death rattle breathing, silenced as the soul was leaving, the deflation of our dreaming, leaving me bereft and reeling, my beloved ghost in me, sitting in a tree, D-Y-I-N-G.
Oh, that's one that, like, in the car, I, like, sing along to it, and I'm just like, oh, you gotta, like, let out all the feelings.
Dude.
That's when we're, like, if you're mid-conversation, you're like, pause.
You're like,
we need to experience this bridge.
Are you not hearing her?
Listen.
Say it once again with feeling.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this whole thing, like how the death rattle breathing, silenced as the soul was leaving.
The deflation of our dreaming.
Leaving me bereft and reeling.
My beloved ghost and me sitting in a tree. Not Kissing. Dyin.
Yeah. Which
spelling is fun.
Spelling is fun. The H.T. Hayes reaction video to this, he was flipping out, but he says DIYING. They're DIYing.
We're doing it ourselves, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. We're doing it ourselves. But yeah, I mean, the death rattle breathing, silence as the soul was leaving. I stopped CPR after all its no use. This spirit was gone. We would never come to.
Yeah, the silenced as the soul was leaving. aka, I am taking part in death right now. Mm-hmm. My soul is leaving my body.
Yeah.
The spirit was gone.
The spirit was gone, which spirit here has a double meaning because we use spirit to mean like someone's life, you know, mm-hmm. their essence or, you know, like spirits, right? But it probably also means spirit, meaning like this spark of the relationship. Like their relationship has no spirit to it. It's not spirited.
Right.
And
it's dull.
It's dull and dead.
Yeah. It's not bejeweled.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pissed that you let me give you all that youth for free is one of the most painful lines, I think, because first of all, the quiver in her voice when she sings that, painful.
Right.
Also, like, giving away your youth. Because think about it. If they were dating for 6 years, that is her late 20s to early 30s, right?
Yeah.
That's really good years of your life.
Yeah. Well, and I think like a lot of women in particular can relate to this line because from what we can tell, Taylor wants kids. And guess what? She's my age. I turned 35 in like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? TikTok, that baby clock is ticking down the mountain. And
even if she doesn't want kids, the fact that like society views women's youth and beauty as one of the only important things about them, unfortunately, because of the patriarchy, giving that time away while men just get to continue aging like fine wine. And if you're single in your mid-30s, like, who cares? You still have time. Meanwhile, as a woman, giving away your youth like that means that you're giving away your good years.
Your best years.
Your best years.
Quote.
Right.
In quotes.
We don't actually think that. We're putting that in quotes. Your best years is not real, but it's so bejeweled. It's very like, I'm pissed that you put me in the basement of your heart. I should have been out there shining like the person that I actually am.
Yeah. Well,
and
also the giving you all that youth for free. Also, when you think about this song, like talking about how much sadness she felt, and then also apparently Joe was probably very depressed and just like a downer. So like all these years that she could have been feeling youthful, and she was just feeling down and stuck and depressed.
Yeah. And writing sad songs.
Right. Well, I mean, we can't complain about that. Thank you. We appreciate your service.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That verse really is painful.
It is.
I think anytime she's using a heartbeat, I mean, she has used a heartbeat in Wildest Dreams earlier, but I think the use of heartbeats, CPR, that whole thing in her later discography is very symbolic of writing about the same theme or the same person. And the fact that she mentioned I stopped CPR, like she's like, please refer back to my previous songs to understand that.
Yeah.
We understand. But one thing I noticed about the next chorus, let me play it really quick.
For so long, London, stitches undone, 2 graves, 1 gun, I'll find someone.
Okay. Let's take that line by line. Okay. One thing that I like about the way that she wrote this song is that the chorus starts for so long, London, right? Which you could take as for so long, London, goodbye. Like, that's a very poetic way of saying for so long, London, adieu and goodbye. Or if you look at the previous line, it was, I'm pissed that you gave me all that youth for free for so long, London. Like, so, and in the previous one too, it is, I stopped trying to make him laugh, stop trying to drill the safe for so long.
Yeah, for so long.
And I love that you could read it either way. I made this work for so long.
Yeah.
London.
I feel like that part is like really obvious at one point in the song, the way she says it. Here, the part where she says, I'm just mad as hell because I loved this place for so long.
Yeah.
London.
Right.
Had a good run. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that writing little double meaning for sure.
Yeah.
And then she mentions stitches undone. When have we heard about stitches before? In Glitch.
In Glitch.
Here it is.
5 seconds later, I'm fastening myself to you with a stitch.
Oh.
That stitch got undone.
Yeah. Well, and then she says, 2 graves, 1 gun. So, meaning like this killed both of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
But who's holding the gun, do you think?
If there's 2 graves, 1 gun, we're both dead.
It's a murder-suicide.
Murder-suicide. I think, if anything...
Joe?
It's a good question.
You know?
Is she the person with the gun because she ends the relationship?
Right.
Or is it Joe the gun because Joe is unhappy?
Right. And it's like he killed her by like letting himself die in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Letting himself die in the relationship.
Either way, there is some of this happening.
We hereby conduct this post-mortem.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. We're dead.
That's from How Did It End?
2 graves, 1 gun. And then also this one, which we already talked about.
My beloved ghost and me, sitting in a tree. D-Y-I-N-G.
We're sitting in our graves because we're dead.
Right.
So.
Right. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, and then this is where she says, I'll find someone.
Yes.
Instead of you'll find someone.
Yeah. And that is her reminding herself that it's going to be okay.
Which, like, can you imagine if this song didn't have that line? If it was like this is the song, that's the line that gives us hope that Taylor's not
dying. Yeah,
like she's going to move on.
Like I'm accepting that I'm going to move on and things will get better for myself.
If this song didn't have that single little line, it would be even more heartbreaking.
I agree.
Ugh.
She's reassuring us that she's going to be okay, and herself that she's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now the bridge.
Oh, the bridge. Take us to the bridge.
I'm going to play it all, and then we'll unpack. Here we go.
Okay.
And you say I abandoned the ship, but I was going down with it. My white knuckle dying grip, holding tight to your quiet resentment. And my friend said it isn't right to be scared. Every day a love affair, every breath feels like rarest air. When you're not sure if he wants to be there. So how much sad did you think I had? Did you think I had in me? How much tragedy? Just how low did you think I'd go for? I'd self-implode for. I'd have to go be free.
Oh my God.
We know that Taylor knows how to write a bridge, but that is a painful one.
That is one of her best. I mean, we say that every time, but
I know
we say it every time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, line by line.
Well, I want to say, like, the one thing I love in general about this bridge, and I think it's interesting that it comes after that line about I'll find someone, like her taking this, like, acceptance of what has happened. And then this bridge is her, like, this whole bridge is about her defending herself. Saying, like, I tried so hard, like, kind of like, don't you dare say that I didn't put the work into this, you know?
Right.
And if we listen to that bridge, you can hear, like, she's also singing most of these lines an octave higher in, like, what's almost like a yell.
Yeah.
And it gives this undercurrent of anger in the bridge.
Yeah.
Which, like, most of the song is sad and, like, dejected. But this bridge allows some anger to come through.
Yeah, I think too, when you compare the pacing of the bridge versus the pacing of the rest of the song, the rest of the song is sort of slow and measured.
Yeah.
There's pauses in between the couplets and of certain verses. Even the way that, like, she sings the chorus for so long. It's paced out. It's like slow and steady.
Yeah.
This bridge to me is like basically all of those inner feelings that she's buried down exploding to the surface, almost like she's like you said, defending herself in this way of saying like, no, I'm done. I'm just going to let it all go because like I've buried this for far too long. I have been carrying the weight of this for far too long, and I have to let it go. And it's like the crescendo of the relationship or the breakup or whatever. Yeah. It's good. Yeah.
All right, so let's go line by line here.
Yeah. Okay. First line, you say I abandoned the ship, but I was going down with it. So that made me think of Willow with this line.
I'm like the water when your ship rolled in that night. Rough on the surface, but you cut through like a knife.
Take me to Salem, baby.
I immediately turned into a witch.
Where's my orb?
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
No, but like the ship rolling in that night, you said I abandoned the ship. Like she talked about in Willow how like, oh, you like came in and everything bends to your will and you're so powerful and you're like everything. And now she like, you say I abandoned the ship. I was going down with it. Like I was you were the ship and I was going down with it. I was ready to like fight with you in the trenches. Like
I was about to sink with the Titanic.
Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't abandoning it. It was taking me down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my white knuckle dying grip holding tight to your quiet resentment. And so this references how what we all kind of assume is that Joe kind of resented her fame and her life with her amount of celebrity and fame.
And we know that because he essentially never wanted to speak about their relationship, whether that was for their own privacy or for him not wanting to be associated with her and to make his own name or for whatever reason. But like that kind of breeds resentment if you're not proud of talking about your relationship or like, I'm sure he did resent her if he wanted some level of fame and she had it so effortlessly, quote unquote. But like, like she was white knuckle gripping onto this relationship. She's going down with the ship. I'm going to hold on forever. And all she was holding on to was his resentment of her, which is painful.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
And then we have, my friend said it isn't right to be scared every day of a love affair. Every breath feels like rarest air when you're not sure if he wants to be there. This one's really rough. Like, I feel like this is such a raw line. Which, like, to me means that she was scared every day that he didn't want to be in that relationship and that she would lose him or, you know, that like it just wasn't solid. And her friends were like, dude, it shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah. Someone in her team was saying, I know you love him, but this isn't how a relationship should feel.
Yeah.
And thank God she has someone like that because I really...
I feel like she probably has a few people.
I hope so.
I bet Blake and Ryan were like, girl.
Yeah. And
we love you.
So I saw this theory that someone's like, is she saying, my friends say it isn't right to be scared every day of a love affair, aka like, I'm scared in my own relationship? Or is she saying, my friends say it isn't right to be scared every day of a love affair, which is the actual lyric, right?
Oh.
So is she saying I'm scared within my relationship, or is she actually saying I'm scared that he is going to find someone else whether he's on set and he's filming with someone and there's rumors about this girl and I'm afraid and I'm insecure in my relationship. I'm afraid he's going to find someone else. And and her friends are saying like, well, that's not right. You shouldn't feel afraid of that.
Yeah. Because that would mean if she's constantly worried he's going to leave her for someone else,
right,
then that means that she thinks she doesn't really want to be there and he's going to find something better that he would prefer.
She could have said, my friends say it isn't right to be scared every day in a love affair, but it's of a love affair.
Yes.
So she's afraid something is going to happen outside of their relationship. There's going to be a love affair that happens.
Damn.
Yeah.
I didn't read it that way at all.
I didn't either. And then I saw that and I was like, wow, that's really smart. Yeah.
But, and I think it would make sense because I think I read it the other way because of the line when you're not sure if he wants to be there. But the thing is, you wouldn't constantly be worried that he's going to cheat on you if you're secure in the fact that he wants to be with you.
Right.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
This song just got worse for me. No.
Yep. And there were rumors about him having affairs with other coworkers.
With co-stars. Which
also,
go ahead.
You caught this one, and I think this is such a good detail. So, do you want to explain the breath of rare is there?
Okay. So, in this song, and we have the clip, so we'll play it, but I want you guys to listen to this. When she says, every breath feels like rarest air when you're not sure if he wants to be there. And then in the background, she does this like thing that sounds like trying to get air.
To catch her breath.
Catch her breath, yeah.
Yeah. So here that is.
Every breath feels like rarest air when you're not sure if he wants to be there. So how much sad did you think I had?
Oh.
I love details like that. It's so good. It's
so good.
Yeah. Isn't that painful?
It's really painful. And also so thinking about worrying that he's going to cheat with a co-star, and this, what I'm about to say is like pure speculation and whatever. And obviously everything we see on the internet is just literal snapshots of someone's life. But I do feel like in the last couple of years, as he's been in more projects as an actor, and then even now since they've broken up and he's doing his own press and things, I feel like I kept seeing photos of him with co-stars or at events where he seems really happy. And I'm like, we never saw him like that with Taylor.
Where was that?
Where was it? So if she's seeing him on set with these people and he's having a blast and enjoying himself and making friends, but then like you said, and he comes home and he's just miserable and depressed, and she's like, why don't I get the fun stuff?
I didn't opt in to be your odd man out of your happiness and your,
right. And like I said, this is pure speculation. This is just a thought. I mean, it could not be true at all or not accurate at all, but it's just something that as a mere civilian observer, it's definitely a thought I've had. I'm like, he seems like he's having a good time.
Yeah, anytime you see him smile, you're like, what? He does that? Yeah.
Right.
Also, she changes the lyric to, just how low do you think I'd go before I'd self-implode, before I'd have to go be free? So is he needling every ounce of energy out of her so that she breaks up with him? Do you know what I mean? Do you know how some guys are just not confrontational, so they'll do everything possible to make you break up with them? Yeah, I get that vibe from that. How low do you think I'd go? How much can I drain myself before I'm going to self-implode, before I'm going to have to peace out because you're not going to do it? My face was gray.
Yeah. I also think of low as a synonym for depressed. When you're feeling really low. And because she's saying, how much sad did you think I had? how much tragedy, like how low do you think I could get before I had to just get out of this thing?
Right.
Like, how much do you think I could endure about with all of this? Like, did you think I could do this forever?
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. And I made a note that I think I saw a TikTok about this. I feel like I've seen it in a couple places, but something about like a survey of relationship or of men or something where men are often surprised when their female partner leaves them, even when they knew that that female partner was unhappy and dissatisfied in the relationship.
And they're shocked.
They're like, she left?
Wait, she can do that?
Like, I just assumed that she would just stay here forever and be miserable.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what this reminds me of. It's like,
for
did
sure.
you think I was just going to do this for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
Like, no, I can't. I have to leave at some point. This is ridiculous.
Okay. I just realized verse 3 is even more painful. Hold on. Okay, wait. I'm gonna play the first couplet. Okay, ready?
Okay.
You swore that you loved me, but where were the clues? I died on the altar waiting for the proof. You sacrificed us to the gods of your bluest days.
Pre-K pause. Okay. You swore that you loved me, but where was the proof?
Where were the clues?
Where was the clues?
Yeah.
There were no clues.
There were no clues. Yeah.
I died on the altar.
Oof.
Waiting for proof. It's giving wedding trauma. It's giving marriage trauma. I mean,
oh my God. I just like, I think I've always heard that line as like, because then she goes on to say, like, you sacrifice us to the gods of your blue stays, like being sacrificed on an altar. But the wedding thing is like, I died on the altar waiting for the proof. Like, I was standing there waiting for you and you stood me up at the altar.
Which we know that she has some wedding trauma. She has some marriage trauma.
We do know.
This line.
And I wouldn't marry me either. A pathological people pleaser who only wanted you to see her. And I'm fading.
Oh God.
This, in addition to Lavender Haze being put on her denial playlist, aka the whole concept of Lavender Haze is like, all they want from me is to be your wife, and I'm cool. I don't want that. Like,
Right.
I don't need that. Like,
Yeah.
Like you're in denial, girl. Okay.
Like, girl,
it's
know.
okay to want that.
You wrote
like,
Love Story. That's like your
We
biggest song, maybe ever. We know.
You literally wrote Lover about this man, which is literally wedding vows to him.
Yeah.
We know you want to get married, okay? So that
And
being
there's
on the
nothing
denial
wrong
playlist,
with that either.
No, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And also, her crying during Champagne Problems on the Eras tour.
Which that whole song is about someone turning down a proposal. So, wedding trauma.
So you could take the altar as the sacrificial altar,
right?
Or the wedding altar.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No. Yeah.
It's giving wedding trauma. Yeah.
And then we have, like, you sacrifice us to the gods of your bluest days also has just so much Taylor lore packed into it.
And we talked about how blue is basically like a symbol of Joe, like throughout her discography. So bluest days is like, yes, depression, but also who you are.
Yeah, because in Paper Rings, we have I'm with you even if it makes me blue.
Yeah, here's that.
When you jumped in first, I went into I'm with you.
Oh, I cut that wrong.
I'm with you.
I'm with you.
Even if it makes me blue.
Makes me blue.
Yeah.
There you go. I finished it.
And then in Hoax, she says, don't want no other shade of blue but you. No other sadness in the world would do.
Yeah, here's that.
Don't want no
Okay.
Is Hoax in the Denial playlist? Because it probably should be. I don't think it was on any of them.
I don't think it was either, but I do know that now, knowing how this relationship ended, her saying repeatedly, like, I don't want anyone else. Like, I don't care how depressed you are. No sadness in the world would do. Like, I want your sadness. I don't want anyone else's sadness. I'm choosing you. And then she basically was like, no.
I'm done.
Like, I'm done.
Turns out I can't do it.
No.
And I don't have to.
No.
Ugh.
And then False God.
Yeah.
Let me pull that up. Hold on. Here it is.
It's my hips, even if it's a false god. We'd still worship this Allah. We'd still worship this Allah. We'd still worship this Allah.
So, like, worshiping. Worshipping their love, aka sacrificing, putting on the altar.
Yeah.
You know.
Woo!
Woo!
And this is why we all go crazy.
This is why when Swifties are like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, you asked for this.
Okay.
Okay. All right, ending verse 3 with this couplet.
And I'm just getting color back into my face. I'm just mad as hell 'cause I loved this place for.
We get that anger there.
Yep. That the upper octave of yelling, exactly how you were saying before. Yeah, I'm just getting color back into my face is a direct callback to this line from You're Losing Me.
My face was gray, but you wouldn't admit that we were sick.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as we heard that line, I'm just getting color back into my face. We're all like, excuse me?
Period.
Yeah, again, like, it's like this whole song is like the finale to You're Losing Me. They're so connected. I also
she's literally just like filling in the cracks of like what
You're
happened.
Losing
Me put out there.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And then her saying, I'm just mad as hell because I love this place. I take that line so literally to be about London.
I do too. Because
it's like, I loved this city.
Yeah.
And now it's ruined for me.
Right. Now I have to go into this city all the time and just think about you.
Yeah. Like, this was where I lived with you. This was our place.
Yeah. I'm sure there's places that, like, in our ex relationships where, like, I don't want to go to that place anymore. Like, gives me yuck.
Yuck. Yeah. And I mean, also, I do read it a little bit as like, I loved our relationship. Like, I bet, especially in the beginning, like, it seems like their relationship was a very like safe place for her when they first got together. Love that for her.
Yes.
But it clearly no longer felt like that at the end. So her saying, I'm just mad as hell because I love this place. Like, I loved what we had. And now it's over and it's ruined.
Yeah.
I don't have it anymore.
And you gave me this sour taste in my mouth about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And then we have the outro / the last chorus. Here we go.
So long, London had a good run, a moment of war size, but I'm not the one. So long, London, still
Wolf.
Yeah, big wolf.
Big wolf. Oh.
A moment of warm sun
Mm-hmm.
is really sad.
Yeah. And so this kind of links back to Fresh Out the Slammer.
Yes.
On this album.
Here's that line.
Gray and blue and fights and tunnels, handcuffed to the spell I was under, for just 1 hour of sunshine.
Yeah.
Like literally going through a relationship just hoping for a glimmer of hope that it's good and that it's happy. And
yeah. And also like the fact that this song says a moment of warm sun and Fresh Out the Slammer says just 1 hour of sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those are referencing the song Daylight.
Yeah.
Which was about Joe and her relationship with him and like her love with him feeling like daylight.
Mm-hmm.
And so saying that like she had a good run, a moment of warm sun. We had that for a little bit.
It wasn't daylight, but it was an hour of sun.
A moment of warm sun.
Which is ironic because London is notoriously gray and
True.
raining.
Yeah.
So,
oh God,
when it does become sunshine over there, they are all over it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think there is some sensitivity to like the fact that obviously there's some mental health stuff going on here. At least we can assume that.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, how can anyone survive on breadcrumbs of happiness?
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible, no matter how much you love the person. It's, you
Yeah.
know, ultimately, I'm sure there were other things at play in their relationship why it wasn't going right. But I mean, this sounds to be like the biggest issue.
Yeah. Which again makes me just so happy that she's with Travis because that man is just always in a good mood.
Yeah. Like, he chilling.
He is. I mean, he can get a little passionate, you know, like he yells at his coach, you know, but
don't embarrass me.
What? But ultimately,
that's a Sabrina Carpenter shout out.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah. Yeah, like for her going from this relationship. And yeah, I do feel bad because, you know, as someone with depression myself, like it's not that like Joe can't help it necessarily if he has depression, right. But it is also his responsibility as someone, especially in a close relationship, like with your partner. It is work that you have to do to make sure that you're not
right,
like bringing them down all the time. You know?
And I think that every relationship is different, but I'm sure that, you know, in a normal relationship where you live together and you go to work and you come back every day, like,
mm-hmm.
you know, depression is certainly something that people live with every single day. But, you know, day to day, there's always glimmers of sunshine,
mm-hmm.
even if you are depressed. But if you're not seeing this person like at all because
mm-hmm.
you're working in another country and he's on set and then you come together and you're like, I can't wait to see you. And
mm-hmm.
it's just nothing. And you're like,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Or
it's not like they have the luxury of time together the way that most people do, you know?
Yeah. And then also if they're long distance a lot, then like if the only thing you really have is like phone calls and FaceTimes and stuff, but you catch that person when they're really down, right. And then it's like if they can't give you the energy and the attention that you're looking for,
and you're under time constraints, like
it can feel really tough.
Yeah. I also love that she said, I'm not the one,
mm-hmm.
Which is another reassurance of you'll find someone.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that it kind of calls back to this line from Champagne Problems.
But you'll find the real thing instead. She'll patch up your tapestry that I've shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. from Champagne Problems.
Yeah. So you'll find someone and you'll find the real thing instead. Like you're going to find someone who's going to patch up your tapestry.
Yeah.
And she'll be the right person.
Right.
Yeah. So
right.
There you go, guys.
Hope you're all having a good day.
Woo!
Well, I want to jump into the music theory analysis because like the main thing I wanted to talk about just happened in that outro. Like that's probably the main spot where I hear it. Which is that to me, this song sounds like recovering from a panic attack because that underlying pulsing background of the song, like this song is actually 160 beats per minute, which is like the rate that my heart is at when I'm running. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like, and we do think of this as like a slow song, but the actual song is 160 beats per minute. Yeah. And it never really lets up. So it gives this sense of anxiety. But then the slower chorus of "So long, London, you'll find someone" feels like taking deep breaths to recover from this panic attack. So it's like, and we'll take a listen to it, but like imagine taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out, each for a count of 4. So it's like, so it's like her saying, "So long, London, you'll find someone." It's like, like I'm recovering from this anxiety that I'm feeling. Yeah. And I think it also makes sense because this is an acceptance song. So it's like showing this anxiety and like panic that she was feeling at the end of this relationship, but also this feeling of like acceptance and taking deep breaths to like process it and move on. So let's take a listen to that again. So we can really hear that like deep breath in, deep breath out feeling of this song.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
I think that is so genius. And this is another thing that actually makes me emotional when I listen to this song. Because especially if I'm like driving and I have it on, I take deep breaths in and out, like during that outro. And I think it does make me emotional because it makes me think of times that I've had to do that, like from a panic attack. Or, you know, something like a panic attack, maybe not full blown, but, you know, that feeling of anxiety and having to just breathe through it.
Remind yourself to breathe. Yeah.
And then also the fact that the song sounds like it's going to build to like maybe something faster or like more of a crescendo, and it never really does. Yeah. Mirrors their relationship.
Right, because everyone thought this relationship was endgame, that this was like... Yeah, and it never amounted to that. I think, and we talked about how the bridge sort of is like this self-implosion of... And that's where we start to like see her defend herself, the pace quickens, the tempo sort of gets... Not the tempo of the song, but like the rapidness of the lyrics increase. But then it goes immediately back to that, so it's almost like herself self-soothing after that moment. Yeah. And I also love that you hear more of those so long echoes in the background, because it's kind of like she's reassuring herself that like whatever she's processing, like she's self-soothing herself. Like, you know, when you like replay a conversation in your head after you've had it and you're like processing all of that, or you're driving away from that and you're like trying to unpack all of that. It reminds me of that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that this is like such a clear fountain pen song. Like she sat down and she knew what story she had to tell.
Yeah.
Like it's not a glitter gel pen, obviously. It's not a quill pen.
No.
It's a fountain pen song. It is.
Yeah.
She came in, she wanted to tell the story, she got right to the point. And yeah, I feel like in terms of breakup songs, this is a very painful one. And it confesses a lot about the state of their relationship and where it was. But it also doesn't tear this person apart. Like,
right.
Like she could have, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've really analyzed the heck out of this. But,
yeah. So what's your favorite lyric?
Okay. So my favorite lyric is, my friend said it isn't right to be scared. Every day of a love affair. Every breath feels like rarest air when you're not sure if he wants to be there. Yeah. But I also said that before we talked about it today. And so now it just has like an even heavier meaning to it. But I think I do love it partly because of like the way this song has so much breath work to it, and like the ha ha ha's at the end of that line. Like it, I maybe for me this is almost like a thesis line for this song, with like mainly it's like every breath feels like rarest air. Yeah, that just, it speaks to me with this song.
Yeah. Yeah, with all the mentions of like breathing and
CPR.
Yeah, like all of that, it definitely speaks to that. My favorite lyric is, you sacrificed us to the gods of your bluest days, aka you sacrificed our relationship, you killed our relationship to your depression, essentially.
Which could also be a thesis line of this song.
Yeah, which is another painful, sort of closing remark. Like, you lost us because of your bluest days or your mental health, essentially.
Right.
Which also implies that, like, you sacrifice us, like, you chose to not work on this by not tending to the fact that the depression was ruining our relationship. Do you know what I mean? There's a little bit of blame there. Not vindictive blame, but just, you sacrificed us. Like, the reason that we are no longer here is because of this. So I really like that line.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you rate this song?
I rate this song an 8.5 out of 10. Because for me, it's very, very high. But it's not quite a 9. Yeah, it's super high. But again, like, a 10 for Taylor is, like, crazy.
Yeah.
So, in the Taylor scale, it's an 8.5.
Anytime we, like, unpack the song, I feel like I want to rate it higher than what I originally wrote it.
Right.
Like, I originally gave it a 7.5. Now I'm like, okay, it's an 8. It's at least an 8.
Yeah.
like, I feel like this song is important. Taylor had to write this song. I feel like this was a processing song. This was a acceptance song for her. And it's important for the storytelling and the closure of her and Joe's relationship for everyone else to unpack. But again, like, my track 5 is How Did It End? So
honestly, it's really hard for me to choose a favorite of the two, which I might also lean towards How Did It End because of that bridge that we played.
Yeah.
And then also that line about, like, guess who we ran into at the shops.
Yeah. The meta-ness and the recognition of how the world viewed their relationship. But I feel like, again, you mentioned this earlier, they're sister songs. So like,
they go together.
One without the other isn't the full picture.
Right.
So
yeah, they're neck and neck.
Yeah. This song is a recipe.
Do you want me to go first?
I'll go.
Okay.
Because mine's depressing.
Okay, go.
Okay. Mine is, this song as a recipe is an airport restaurant meal. I'm thinking of a semi-stale chicken salad or some sort of pre-made sandwich right after the most melodramatic drive in a taxi cab when it's raining, when you're leaving the city that you love.
Oh, no.
That's the recipe.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like a very emotional recipe for this.
Yeah.
I went more slightly literal vibes. Because I said a London fog, which is a latte made with Earl Grey tea.
Delicious.
Yeah.
If you haven't had one. Delicious.
I've only had one once or twice. I have to be really in the mood for this.
Yeah.
But like earlier you were describing the Turner paintings.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
this
is like that vibe. It's misty. It's foamy.
Creamy.
Yeah. It's a grayish color.
Yeah. True. That's true.
Mm-hmm. And it's London-y. It's London.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to find something British, but I was like, you know what? No.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I going to say? Fish and chips? No.
This song is not fish and chips.
This is not fish and chips. No.
Definitely not.
No.
Yeah.
Well, that was the depressing one.
It was. Thank you guys for coming on this journey with us again. We should
let
pick
us
a
know
happy one for our
I
next
know.
song.
Let us know
Or
if
a
there is
spicy
something
one.
Let us know if there's something that we missed in this episode. Like, is there something that you caught in a lyric that we didn't talk about? Or, I don't know. Did we miss any, like, London Boy references? I thought there would be more, like, callbacks to that song. But anyway, let us know your thoughts. Like, did we miss anything? What are your thoughts on this song? We're going to share our email and our number in just a second. But
Yeah.
yeah.
In our next episode...
we have to choose a happier song for the next one.
Yeah, we do.
We did I Hate It Here and this.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. Woo! And I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. Whoops. Oh, well.
She really did give us, like, a depressed album.
Yeah,
so
there aren't that many happy ones on the album.
What's a girl got to do?
But we are going to have fun in our next episode because we're going to talk about Taylor's tour writer.
Right. Which, if you don't know what we're talking about, a writer is basically what an artist or a band will request in their little green room, or their, like, what's their request when they come to do their tour.
Right.
And this has been shared, and it's quite interesting. And we are a food podcast.
Yes.
So we'll talk about what she snacks on.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. So if you survived this long, then thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to support the pod, please give us a follow at Blank Plate Pod on TikTok and Instagram.
Yes. And you can check out our website at blankplatepodcast.com. And if you want to send us any of your thoughts on this song, on Gaylor information that we missed,
right?
blankplatepod@gmail.com or call us at 717-382-8313. Or leave us a comment.
Yeah, or text us.
Yeah.
That works too. Yeah, we do try to get to all the comments on, like, Instagram and TikTok, so
yeah,
please reach out. We've been having a lot of fun there. But anyway, until then, we had the time of our lives with you.
And it's time to go.
So long.
Bye. So long.
Toodaloo.
I'm going to wave like the queen.
Nice.